I'll ask the people who are here via Zoom to announce their names and that they're here, please. Can you, Mike?
I'm Michael Lane, and I'm here on Zoom.
Thank you, Mike. And I think Ella.
Yep, I'm Ella Miles. I'm here on Zoom.
Great. And we have Kathy Rosika is present, myself is present, and Dean Mason, who is our alternate, is going to be seated as a regular member also tonight, since that'll bring us to 5. So we have a quorum, and the first order of business will be approval of the March 31st minutes. So if we could have a motion to approve those minutes, either Dean or Mike could make that.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
So Dean's made the motion to approve the March 31st minutes.
I'll second.
Second by Michael. Is there any discussion of the minutes, corrections, additions, deletions? Hearing none, then all in favor of approval of the previous minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't
And
here.
Kathy is abstaining, so
Because I wasn't here.
the minutes are approved. And then we have what?
Communication.
Communications. We have a referral from Montville regarding a moratorium for cannabis establishments and uses.
Yeah, so this is what was sent to the clerk's office, and then Betsy sent it to us. Liz Burdick is the planner in Montville, and on her behalf of assistant planners Colleen, that they are, again, they're doing a moratorium on cannabis establishments at this time. From a staff review standpoint, from us, we have no comments on their moratorium.
On their drugs.
Yeah. That's it, unless the commission does not have to send anything back if they have no comment on it. So, okay, thank you.
All right, we have no old business on the agenda, so the new business is site development plan 1047 326 Washington Street. The request for a 5,500 square foot, 1-story addition to the hospital for MRI rooms to replace 2 existing mobile trailer units. Application of Donald Simonides, Hartford Healthcare, property of William W. Backus Hospital. It's assessors map 76, block 1, lot 41, zone R20. There's no public hearing on this matter, so is there somebody from the hospital who wishes to make a presentation?
Hi, I'm Don Simonides. I'm on the line. I'm the applicant for the project, and as stated there, we have our team on, the architects and engineers as well. So we're proposing to add this 5,500 square foot addition, single-story unit to an adjacent area to the existing hospital where 2 mobile MRI trailers are currently located. And we're applying for this application to try to bring those new units in-house.
Okay, does somebody from your architectural team want to speak regarding the application and the plans?
Yes, so good evening, everyone. This is Augustina Lasala Rufo, and I'm calling from MBH Architecture. We are the architects that designed this 1-story addition. And would you like me to present some of the exterior rendered elevations?
Yeah, that would be great. I don't know if you need to
Okay.
take over the screen.
I will have to take over the screen, yes, but I already have it. So
Okay, good.
just bear with me. I'm just going to go to the exterior elevations. So just for a brief orientation, so this is on the ground level of Backus Hospital, and we are going to be coming up right against a 4-story brick building and in this particular location, a 1-story, somewhat of a concrete exterior finish building here. So this would be 4-story building B, a brick building, and this is 1-story building A. And This site plan shows the addition in this light gray color. I'm just going to zoom in. This is the proposed addition of 5,500 square feet. It's kind of rotated from what we were showing, what I was just showing everyone. This is going to be your 4-story building over here, and building B, and the 1-story concrete finish building A over here. So project north is towards 1-story building A. To the south is this one-way road to the east is this doctor's parking lot, and then south is, north is the 1-story building A, and east is 4-story building B. So now I'm going to go to the exterior rendered elevations. This is the elevation that we would see from that one-way road, 1-story. We're mimicking the same brick finish that the 4-story building B has, and I can also show some pictures if that's at all helpful. And this would be the elevation from the doctor's parking lot. So these two large 9x9 windows are going to be the openings for the 2 MRIs. And then we just have access into the MRI. And then this, sorry if I'm going too fast, but this over here to the right is that 1-story concrete building, building A. Would you like me to pull up some pictures of this? Of this
Be
back
helpful.
corner?
Could you excuse me for a second?
South side of the building, yeah.
It's by the emergency room?
No, no.
It's on the exit,
On
and
the
you go
other
to
end.
exit, it'd be right on your left when you exit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
past the
Yeah.
emergency room.
Like we're
Past the
Utley and
emergency
Jones,
Yeah, okay.
opposite Utley and Jones.
Okay, got it. Just
Okay,
wanted-
so I understand that part, but where is the concrete building that we're talking about? What, is that building already there, or is that something new?
Yes, yes, I'm sorry. Both buildings, let me go back to the floor plan for a second, or maybe this small overall. This building here is the concrete building, 1-story, and that's the building A, and then it's existing. And then this 4-story brick building is also existing. We're somewhat infilling the leftover corner between the 2 buildings.
Okay, so that's the place where the 2 trailers are already located for the MRI.
That-
got it.
Right, Mike,
That's
that's
correct.
correct.
Okay. All right.
So does anyone want to see some pictures?
I thought it might be useful to take a look at the pictures, just
Okay,
if you can. Yeah.
yes. In the meantime, I'm going to leave everyone with this site background. Just bear with me for a second. I just have to open them. Is there any other questions that I might be able to answer while I'm looking for these pictures?
So there's no additional parking because there was already an MRI building there. Is that correct?
Yes, and they're reconfiguring a little bit the way the parking lot layout is. The way the doctors come in, there's like a key card thing. So that's the angle, it's changing the angle of the driveway it comes in, and doing a few changes in that parking lot for the fire marshal's office. But no, it's not. They were already had 2 MRIs, but they were MRI trailers, and they're just,
Right.
now it's going to be the
Yeah,
building. So
building.
no, it
Okay.
did not increase the parking.
Parking, okay.
That's correct. Can everyone see the photos that,
No.
or do
No.
I have to share a different screen?
No, they're not showing up.
Okay, give me 1 second. What about now?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is that?
So this is part of the one-story concrete building A. There's an existing canopy. All of this would, the existing canopy would be removed. And let me just,
That's
so
what-
here
I know
is
exactly.
the four-story brick building, which is called Building B. And these are the, well, this is a structure that allows the entrance into the MRI currently. So it's a waiting room, the MRI waiting room entrance. And here is kind of cut off as one of the trailers. So this is the site that we'd be renovating or putting the addition onto. And here we see more of our existing corner that we're going to infill with this addition.
People come in.
So would you want to go back to that elevation
Yeah,
view
I
and
wanna
show them
see-
how people
Now,
come
now
in?
I know how it's,
So where would you like to go back? I'm sorry.
Elevation view that shows how the patients are gonna come in there. How do they come in the new addition?
Oh, okay. One second, I just have to get to that. Okay. So patients are going to continue to come in. I have to go to the architectural background for a second. Patients are going to continue to come in through existing building B and A, through these pair of doors. This entrance is mainly for staff, for doctors that are parking here and staff. But entrance for patients will continue to be through Bacchus, the existing Bacchus Hospital. Don, you might be able to better explain to this group.
no, I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, so you come in the front
The front
door,
door
and
and
then
the-
then you go up the elevator up to the first
Yeah.
floor and down the hall and. it's-
Correct.
Yeah, so this is
And-
Don. Our patients would register and come into the diagnostic imaging department. So this new addition would be connected to the diagnostic imaging department off of the B building, which is PET CT and nuclear med, in addition to this added MRI. So rather than going out underneath the canopy, it would be a regular new addition that would be part of the building.
Do you want me to go through my demo real quick or?
Yeah, why
Yeah.
don't you do that? So I think, we've got the gist of it,
Yeah,
so
now,
we're gonna have Deanna go
With the red and
through
blue.
her memo.
so the,
Okay,
gonna match the brick that's there right now.
Yes,
that's
can you, so that,
correct.
yes,
Yes. So this is the big brick that is, we're trying to match it as best we can. And this is the brick that is going to be on the new addition, which is a very close match to the building B. This one, the 4-story in the back here. Everyone can see that. What's shown in front of that 4-story is the roof screen, because this addition will have its own proper air handling unit. And the roof screen, there is an existing roof screen at building A, the 1-story concrete, and I'll go back to the pictures in a second. And so this new roof screen of the addition is expected to match this roof screen of building A. I'll go back to the pictures. Well, it might be hard to see. I'm going to try to zoom in here. Oops. I would seem to do that. It's somewhat in the distance, and it's still being erected, this roof screen at building A, but it will match this roof screen for the new air handling unit at the addition.
And what is the
You can see it
purpose of,
really.
you can ask, if I can ask one, what's the purpose of the roof screen?
At the mechanical.
Oh, the hide the
It's just
mechanical,
to, yeah,
You-
just a more aesthetic finish to otherwise the very visible new air handling unit and other mechanical appurtenances that are going to be on the new roof of the addition. And anything that's on this new roof of the addition is in support of the functions below it.
So Augustina, basically the upper rooftop units would be to hide those larger units that are up on the 4-story building on top there, just to cover those up at a lower level.
Yes, but let me go back to,
Won't block
let
any
me go
window.
back to,
I don't know, did you hear the question here from the commission member?
Well,
I
if
did
we're
not,
blocking windows?
Yeah.
Was that the question?
Yes,
Not more than what's already blocked, unfortunately, because the existing waiting room, the existing MRI waiting room already kind of hinders that. If you can see here, there are these existing windows beyond this upper structure, and they're already somewhat, not necessarily blocked, but you do have a structure right in front of the windows. And this new addition is going to pretty much do the same. The only difference is that the addition will come up to these windows, or pretty much to the extent of the corner of building B, but all along building B, let me just go back to the floor plan for a second. All along, roof plan will be better. All along building B and all along building A, we have a lower roof than the rest of the proposed addition. And a reason why we did that was so that we didn't have to interfere with any of the existing windows. So all the existing windows remain, and you just have the roof that is possibly maybe 18 inches from the sill of the existing windows down. And then you have this upper structure of roof that is a little bit higher. I want to say 30 inches higher, but let me go to the heights here. Yeah, so it's 30 inches, I believe. I mean, Lindsay, can you corroborate? Do you remember off the top of your head? Is it 30 inches? The difference
Yeah,
between one roof
it's
and the other?
2.5 feet, give or take, minus the insulation height, of course. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm.
Yes, we
Okay.
can hear you. Yes, thank you.
Okay,
So here's a section that runs along the addition, showing the two proposed MRIs, the equipment room in between the two MRIs, and the staff lounge. And this is the corridor connecting the addition with building A. So you can see here that this roof of building A is almost as the same height as our addition here. And then the roof becomes higher because there was more height required for the MRI. So we tried to keep the low roof adjacent to the two existing buildings. And the section in the other direction will also show the same, that, well, let me just get to that one. So if everyone's
Sure.
looking at my cursor, this is marking existing building B, 4-story, our low roof right adjacent to existing building B, and then our higher roof for the rest of the addition.
Does anybody have any questions at this time, or can Deanna give her comments from her memo?
I have no questions.
Okay, so Deanna, why don't you go ahead?
Deanna, do you want me to stop sharing?
I think Dan's got it, so.
Okay, great.
So I have some responses back to my memo, and, it's gonna be hard for me to read them because they're in red. So, so basically, the first one is talking about the archaeological sensitivity in that area. Basically adding a note if they're doing any excavation that they find any cultural resources there, and they're gonna add a note to the plan about that. So I'll go look at the comments and then you can chime in if you need to. Erosion and sediment control bond has not been estimated because they don't have an estimator on their staff to do that. So they have agreed that the city engineer is comfortable with handling this item after the fact, and he will come up with that. He will review their bond amount. They want to go out to bid and get that estimate for that. Let me see, the details have been verified that they're compliant with the 2002 ENS guidelines, and they're going to put a note on the plan to that. There's very minimal site improvements to the lot adjacent to it. There's no additional landscaping that's been proposed, but where it's acceptable to us because they're really just filling in the area that was already being utilized. And the parking lot reconfiguration doesn't really call for any, just a little minimal stuff, not call for any landscaping. And so they are agree with that. This has been referred to other departments in the city for the review and comment. And then I have my standards prior to making a decision on this application. You need to decide that they have met forth the conditions of the requirements and considerations in 7.5.6, which I believe they have satisfied those. State that on the record. I do have some recommended reasons and conditions or stipulations, I would say, for the site plan. Of course, the typical things that expires in 5 years. There's so many multiple sheets on this plan that I don't need all of them to be filed on land records. So I've reduced that. The archaeological note on that, the written estimate for the erosion sediment control bond, the standard, number of plans, signature blocks, Doris Mylars being filed, and then the notification if they're going to change anything. And then they'd have to post a bond if they don't do all the work. We may require an as-built or certification if we determine that it's necessary at the end. And then the stormwater is less than 5 acres and falls under a DEP permit. So I believe it conforms to Chapter 5 and 7.5 in zoning regulations with these stipulations.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Deanna at this time, or Dan? That being the case, can somebody make a motion concerning this application?
I'll make a motion to approve the application with the conditions as described by the town planner, the city planner. And that they post a bond, right? And all the
Yep, that's all on there.
archaeological, yeah.
Kathy's made a motion to approve with the conditions. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Dino's on the draw, so he's got the second here. So we've got the motion and the second. Is there any further discussion at this point? Hearing none, then all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Nope. So the approval is completed with the conditions as set forth in Kathy's memo and, in Deanna's memo and per Kathy Wazika's motion. So thank you all. And thank you all.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your team was
Thank
very
you.
helpful, especially Deanna and her team. I appreciate all the effort and guidance that you gave us to get to this point. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck with the project. Okay, next matter on the agenda, POCD update.
CD update. So we had a meeting the other day and it went very well. When we did those, we came up with a calendar, which I mailed out to you today. It has the POCD. And so it's really crunch time. I'm feeling a lot of stress and Dan knows that I'm pushing. So what we've decided that we are going to have twice a month meetings. It doesn't mean you have to come to all of them, but if we need to want to, show you things, what's going on, we want to have at least an hour meeting twice a month, and they'll always be on the Wednesdays and at 6 o'clock, so it's right, right here, or you can do it online, if you're able to, your home. If we don't need a special meeting, we won't have it, but it's just, I wanted to set out some dates. We've got 2 community input meetings additional. We've had multiple meetings near the beginning on each topic that we felt was important in the plan. And had pretty good input at that point. But we want to do one specifically at the senior center, and then one at Foundry 66. We feel like the crowds are different. We have different people that would come. We want to stay away from the municipal government buildings to have some kind of public input. It's just it doesn't feel the same as being comfortable. So we're going to have food. We're going to do the one for the seniors. I talked to Mike Wallach, and we were going to do it at 5 o'clock, and he thinks we do much better having it during the day at like 10 o'clock in the morning, cookies and juice kind of thing.
And the
And then-
seniors are aware.
Yeah, and have it with, they can actually,
And the seniors-
and they can actually publicize it. It can be part of their schedule of what's going on there. So we're gonna take them up on that, but that night we have a regular meeting. We're still gonna have our regular meeting that night at 6, so we can report on how that went. So we're gonna do an hour public input with them, do a presentation about the plan, what it means, and get their input. We really wanna specifically target the seniors. And then later in the month, I think it's the 24th or 28th or something of June, we're gonna be at Foundry, and we're gonna do 2 sessions. We're gonna do a 5 to 6 and then a 6 to 7. Again, have pizza and drinks and stuff and get people to come and have input on the plan.
Might get more people if it's at Epicure and not at.
Yeah, children probably not though, so if people bring their kids, but maybe.
Have you guys started drafting any language yet?
So Dan, at the last meeting, we talked about a vision statement.
Stressing me out.
Well, I'll tell you this, it is very, very stressful. So, well, first, let's back up. One thing that the city's never had, and Dan is doing an incredible job, thank you very much, of working on our first existing land use plan. The city's never had a map that shows what the parcels are and what their existing land use are. We using the assessor's data, there's hundreds and hundreds of codes, and one property might have 5 codes on it of like what they're assessing it for different things. So Dan has to look at that parcel to decide like what's the mode, what is it really? What is that property mostly being used for? It's been taking forever. And but once we have that, that'll help us so much with figuring out what future zone should be and what's really happening, what is on the ground and how is things working. So Dan, you want to give an update of where you're at with
Yeah,
that?
pretty close. That'll be done this week.
I've been saying that for weeks.
Right.
But we've been
But
so
I'm just
busy.
ignoring everything else at this point.
Yes.
I'm not picking up the phone. I'm not answering emails.
And I'm trying not to talk to him.
That's what you have to do.
It's awful. So we're
So
working.
that'll be done. I did start drafting a vision statement that will run by you. Ran that by the POCD committee last week. Right, last Wednesday.
Yes,
I'm meeting again with the consultant tomorrow, to kind of iron that out.
Yeah.
And then we'll start getting text into chapters.
Are the consultants helping at all
So
with
what-
the drafting?
well, what they're,
We're gonna take from those 2
Data
data
decks.
decks that we've gone over with you.
Okay.
They're doing kind of the background data, and then I'll be writing.
yeah,
So
so,
I don't anticipate it being any longer than 2013 plan. I prefer to be shorter, because nobody wants to read a long
Yeah, no,
planning document. So that's the goal, and we'll in short order, you'll be getting things to review. And like Deanna said, you don't have to come to everything, because you'll get it in an email and you can comment back in an email.
so
We
what
just
this,
we prefer to have one CCP member to open and close.
yeah. Our consultant was really worried that we weren't meeting enough with the CCP members about this, but our feeling is that you guys have been on board with knowing that we're having this POCD committee. And then I feel like you're trusting the group as we're doing this, and I don't feel like it's them and then you separately.
No,
So
sure.
as long as you're comfortable with that, I feel like as long as we're getting feedback from the committee and the players,
Yeah.
including commission members, I think that you should, I'm hoping that you're trusting with the work that we're doing. Because the
We've had
consultant's
really
like, you
good
might be
support
wrong.
from
What?
other city departments too.
Yeah, so the chief of police has been like at everyone, NPU comes to everyone. We have some really good representation. That inland wetlands chairman is at every single one. Regan Minor is pretty much, except for one meeting, comes for the historical side. So they really have we've encompassed so many groups in community development. And, so I mean, it's so stressful. You'll be like, look, because that's how I feel. He knows I'm freaking out. So the consultant was like, you know, we could potentially ask for an extension if you want. And I really want to meet our
Oh, yeah,
deadline.
need
I
a
just
deadline.
want to, our anticipation is the draft that goes out 65 days ahead of time to the COG and to the clerk, not the COG and to the council will not be the finished one with pretty pictures. It's going to be the language and the layout pretty much, but not all ready to go because we just 65 days ahead of time. It's just too,
It's the
you know,
whole
it's too
summer.
soon. It's coming so fast. So, but that's why Dan's gonna be really working on the language soon. I'm trying to take off, since he really loves working on the plan, and I've already written 2 in other communities. I prefer not to be the lead on it. Dan's taking the lead, so I'm taking all the applications and all the other stuff that's coming in to keep that off of his desk. That's what we're sort of working this together right now. The vision statement, we looked at multiple vision statements, and our consultant really thinks you need to have a good vision statement, and we didn't really have one in the last plan. Our plan is very similarly set up, or we think we would like to. We really like how New Britain's is. New Britain has a really good plan, similar community, their goals and things. So we like their vision statement. It does obviously needs to be changed somewhat. There was a little pushback on using the word sustain, because they felt like in the chapter that sustain sounds like staying the same and not necessarily sustainability. Yeah. So
Progress.
today we got an email from the chairman of Inland Wetlands that would like us to maybe consider about using the word renew, and then talk about renew and then renewability, and and the sustainability falls under that. So some like target words, and those target words in the vision statement are really going to be the chapter titles pretty much. That's how we're looking at them being. So
There'll be 5 chapters instead of 15.
yes, and then we'll have some kind of under there. So that's what we're looking at. Maps will hopefully we're going to use some of the maps from the previous plan because we haven't
Yeah.
really,
But the consultant's helping with layouts and all that, so that's what will happen over the summer.
yes.
And then they are gonna package it all and make it look nice for publishing.
And that's really
Yeah.
what we're hiring them to do, is they were doing all the data, they were doing all the demographics and data stuff for us. And then they were doing the formatting and the making that final document for us. We're writing and doing that. It's, I feel like Dan thinks I'm crazy, but I feel like they're waiting for us constantly. And I'm like, oh my God, they need us to give them something. They're just not working on it unless we give them something. But I want to make sure that we.
They have plenty of other things.
That's the
they're
whole thing,
working
is he's
on.
like, we're working on this stuff, but I feel like, oh my God, we need to give them something, but they're waiting, there's a couple things they're waiting for, some economic development stuff from Kevin, that we're asking for Kevin to update. What we reported at the last meeting is the housing data that was from the state has been incorrect, and what we realized was when they were giving us the data deck, it was like, it just didn't seem right. It seemed too low on some of the multifamilies and stuff. So what we realized, or what I realized by looking at this, is like when they do their reporting, how this starts, that we have. So if there was one building permit, like in 2015, that was for 116 units starting at Panema, they put one multifamily. So it was reported as one unit instead of 116 units there. So the numbers were so low and it didn't seem right. So
Housing didn't match up. with the
housing didn't
population.
at all. So what I ended up doing is going back from 2015 forward and correcting those numbers. But anything before 2015, we didn't have our computerized system, and it was like practically impossible because it was done on a spreadsheet and someone would write. It was however, and it was entered. It didn't really make sense. You couldn't really pull it out. And since it's our last plan was done in 2013, it really before 2015 doesn't matter as much, I don't think. So our good data is from 2015 forward, which is making a difference from the housing starts, I think, what we've actually grown in the city. Let me see what else. We report on that, talked a little bit at the meeting about EV chargers, where people want to have availability for electric vehicle chargers. That's it.
That's
MPU
kinda
talked
it.
about their
Water
connection.
service area,
Yeah.
sewer service area.
They provided updated water service map for us, which we needed. And they're not going to give us electric one because it is what it is. And sewer, they're not really expanding sewers, but they can give us an existing sewer area map. But right now, we haven't asked for that, but that wouldn't be hard for them to do, but they gave us the water in the water areas, so. Yeah, so we've been working closely with them and, I've said, I feel like we're in crunch time, but of course, everybody and their brother all of a sudden is calling us and going, we have an application and we want to get it heard, can we be in the next month or two? And it's like, because, it's just, everything is kind of coming in at the same time. Yeah. It's hard. I wish there was like a moratorium on applications. I told Dan, I'm like, I keep telling people, can we push you off? And of course, everything needs to be today, you know how it is. So,
And then you have all the people that come in and ask the questions. That
Yeah.
takes a lot of time too.
oh, believe us. I spent an hour on the phone with somebody today, he listened to the whole thing and it was so frustrating. I was like, oh my God, I just lost an hour of work talking to someone, But the P O C D, like I said, we set those dates. We're gonna have those 2 community input meetings. We're gonna give it to the council. I'm hoping the council does a resolution, like reads it and talks about it, does a resolution to support it. And I'm gonna suggest they not have their own public hearing. I think if they had their own public hearing, even though they're allowed to, they could have one. I think it confuses the process. So people think that they're adopting the plan instead of you. It's like, I want the public hearing
Feel like
to be
that didn't
here.
happen last time, right?
So what happened?
It's just
I
the
don't
CCP
recall
adopted it.
that there were any public hearings with the city council.
Good.
It's just the CCP.
I don't recall it.
And we're hoping to do it as a one-shot deal public hearing, the public hearing and adoption that night of August 15th, I think it is.
And that's for us.
Yes.
That's for us. I don't see why we can't do it.
Yes, so, and of
Especially-
course, you have to take considerations of what any comments would be from like the council if they make any recommendations or
Right.
anyone, you have to consider those in the COG and
And
those
it
kind
can
of
still be
things.
adopted that night with revisions based on
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, so,
Well, I'm glad that you're getting a handle on all this.
It's a long process.
It's a long and arduous process.
it is,
Yeah.
well, it's
It
over,
doesn't
I'm
just happen
over.
overnight.
No.
You guys are doing a great job.
Yeah.
Because I certainly don't have the energy to do it.
That's why I said to Dan, I don't want to do it anymore. I mean, I've done through this process so many times and I'm just, and I'm just like, he's so enthusiastic, but it's that dang map, but it's so valuable that the map is taking forever, but he's so close now.
Yeah.
So
And then
close.
there's so many different uses in the
Ah.
city and they change constantly, so.
We're
Yeah,
trying
We
to
have it-
distill 300 into 15.
that's what we're
Yeah.
trying to do.
Yeah.
So,
And, but he's doing a great job at it and I'm like excited for what to be done because just imagine how now we really are talking about in the plan, like where should be these, some ideas have come up with, about doing like the
medical
neighborhoods where you
use.
could, like closer to like Lafayette Street, where people could live there, multifamily, and maybe it'd be near the hospital, or like, older people to be near the hospital, near medical services, allow there to be mixed use with medical and for residential in that area. And, and then transportation oriented development, there was a presentation about that,
Yeah.
where we could pick those two
There's a big
TOD
article in the paper
areas of
about
the city so we can get funding down the road. So kind of look, there's a lot of things. And I'm trying to go back when I have time to the old minutes from when we started the POCD implementation, which was in 2017. What things were still in there that were still kind of talked about. I'm trying to highlight those and bring them to Dan's attention of, hey, that's, that came up that we still need to do that or that we, so it's just a lot, it's just a
Yeah, and
lot.
then also having the foresight to think about what kind of grants are gonna be coming down the pike. You want to include stuff like
So-
that in there because, yeah.
Exactly. So I contacted Sustainable Connecticut, and I don't know if I sent you the link down to that one, but they sent me some things that these are helpful to be in your plan because it helps with
Yeah.
money. So, and a lot of it is typical sustainability stuff, but
Yeah.
they want an open space plan. So going to that really quickly, is we don't really have an open space plan. We've never had an open space plan. The COG is working on one.
Right.
But they wanted to meet, they're trying to contact all the communities. They wanted to meet in June or July to talk about the open space plan for the region and in that would be within the communities too. And I'm like, that's too late for us because if we wanted, so I pushed them to May and to come to a meeting in May that we're having and to try to present about the open space plan. But I really want them to be as specific as Norwich as they can. And if they think they might be able to help us to maybe get our open space map in our plan, which is one of the things Sustainable Connecticut and other things want to see your map open space plan. Well, it's great the region's working on it, but it would be nice if we could get that into our plan, you know?
You know what, Deanna, also, if you can't get something done by the time period, you can always amend it.
Yes.
So just think about that
Yeah.
because you
Where
want
the
to get it
cities-
done.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
Oh, no,
working
we're
on a
not-
Parks and Rec master plan,
Yeah,
and that'll get amended into this.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
We're
We
definitely
only
gonna
have it-
reference
we
it.
only
We're gonna
have
say,
it.
we'll reference, if we don't have the cog map done, we'll reference it.
Yeah.
We're gonna, you know, the open space map, we are, you know, supportive of it or something. We'll reference it in there because then at least we have it. And then when we do have it, even if it's not on our plan, we talked about it in the plan
Well,
and we have
we
it.
can amend it
and we can amend it,
incorporate
yeah, just, yeah.
So we know that we're
It doesn't have
somewhat,
to be static for 10
Right.
years.
No,
we're,
right, exactly.
it's the only thing is when you change it, you have to go through the same process, which is not huge, which is
No.
only changing a few things, but you still have to do the 65 days ahead of time to the cog. So it depends on how much you're changing. You don't want to do a lot of it because it's a pain to keep doing it.
No, you don't
But-
have to do it every
But,
5
right, but if you
minutes,
have,
but we
if you
can do
have,
it if we have.
Yeah,
you know that your open space plan isn't gonna be finished or
Yeah.
that segment,
Uh-huh.
we can always do that
yeah,
another time.
yeah. So we're just, like I said, try to move along as much as we can. So that's
And
the
next-
update.
Next meeting is May 10th.
May 10th. Yes, and Dan's gonna be covering that one because I have an appointment afternoon. Doctor, so he'll be there. And then the one after that is when they'll come for the open space to talk about that in May.
All right, what else is going on? Any reports on any development going on?
So we had an application that was supposed to be on tonight's meeting, was withdrawn. It came in very
Late.
late and not all the pieces were put together. They were trying to rush it in with the hopes of being able to get on to get a grant. They were looking, everybody and their brother is looking to get a communities challenge grant, which is, you know, 2 billion, well, I don't know how many millions of dollars it is, but it's
Is that the
but
one
they
that-
need a partner, but they need the partner for the community. So I will just tell you, everyone in their woodwork is coming out and going, I want to do this project and want the city to be our partner. We want to do CDC. And it's hard because, to be honest with you, the city has our own priorities. And you may think your project is really important to you, but is it one of our goals and what we need to take care of?
Is that the one that's due May 1st?
It's due soon. Is it?
Yeah,
I don't know, but that was the May 1st one or
June-
Or is
June 30th.
June
I
30th?
think.
I don't remember the dates off the top of my head, but they're coming up. We just did a brownfields grant, submitted it last Friday. It was due by noon, got it in like at 10. I was hoping to get it Wednesday, and then Thursday, the consultant, we're working for a consultant. We submitted a brownfields remediation grant for the Cape Park property. So we don't own it, but we have an agreement in place to take it if we get the brownfields money to clean it up. And the goal is to make that into an active, take the majority of the building down, hopefully all, but we'll see. Clean up the site, make it a really nice park in Greenville and activate it to some other, like maybe a farmer's market going on there, some other things that can help with economic development in that area, because it's really a detraction for any kind of economic investment there. And it has had like 4 fires in the last couple of years there. And so it's just a really, from a emergency management standpoint, it's horrible too. So it's $4 million is a drop in the bucket. We can't even take the big building down for that, but we can do some soil remediation and some of the other smaller buildings. It's probably, what was it, about $8 million? $8 million to do the cleanup there. Very expensive. So anyways, fingers crossed. But we're doing that on top of doing this. So just, you know, that's where there's a lot going on with the two of us in our department. We're really, really busy.
We've been going on at Reading News.
Reed and Hughes, I mean, Kevin, I think is just kind of working with them and stuff. I think it's
It's
not,
all financing.
it's
stuff.
that stuff. Hell Mills kind of moving along. The Panema, I was emailing with them today. They're very close to starting, but what they hit the snag was with is when they proposed their building, remember for the South Mill, there was the front building and then the bigger building in the back. There used to be that connector between them
Right.
and a connector.
Can we have some on that?
Well, what ended up happening was they proposed to not have the connector and it was the front building and the back building. But when they went to go for the historic tax credit, in between that time, they took it down without demolition permits from the city. They took it down because that was their plan. Well, SHPO didn't like that and wants to preserve the walkways that were there as part of the historic walkways. So they have to reconstruct those. So, you know, reconstruct, so the one that was connecting to the South Mill to the next property, that was just closed at one point, but the second story is still there. So that was where the driveway goes to the back. So they're gonna take down part of that so they can still have the connector. The front one they need to reconstruct, but it doesn't affect any of the property, any of the site plan at all to do that. So it's not gonna come back to the commission to do that connector. Because we're gonna have to meet SHPO's requirements, so we're just gonna require that the elevations meet what SHPO said, and it doesn't affect the site plan. But that was was short-sighted, they did it without permits, and then they took something down before the historic, and they have to do it to get those historic tax credits. So. That's what's going on there, so, but that's gonna move along, there's a lot of iron, so anyways, the project that didn't come in, that I didn't finish, is an apartment, that apartment complex that's going to be at the old jail hill site. On 16 Cedar, top of the hill.
Yeah, but who owns that?
He owns it now. The company that's doing the development purchased it not too long ago. So that's where but they were rushing to get in so they could try to meet the deadline for the grants and do this stuff. And it didn't meet zoning. So, they withdrew.
What about Burger King? What is going on with that?
Nothing. So I think it's Dio that does the water. So at this point, I do need to try to reach out to them again. I sent an email not too long ago and I didn't get one back. The owner of that Burger King property and multiple others, like hundreds of other, he was selling them all. He was selling them all over the country. So I don't know if he was piecemealing and or they were going, I think it was really going as a package. And I don't know what happened. I don't think it's sold. So they're just sitting there right now.
So how long has it been since we approved that?
Less than 5 years.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
The one that's coming up soon for 5 years that we can expire, that probably should get expired is the, what road was it? Is it Cheney Lane? What do you say? What's the name? We're John Salomon. What's the name of that? Cheney Lane. There was the family in the back. The city manager. It's up by.
It's
Cherry
condos
Hill.
with complicated septic systems that are across the road.
Well, Cherry Hill Way?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember that's back there and it was
Yeah.
like, I want to say like,
For the condos?
Yeah.
yes, it was like 8 or 10, but they had a huge, weird cross septic system that went across each other, it was bizarre. And there's lots of ledge out there what happened was, the owner of the property owed money to a lumber company, so they ended up getting it, like put a lien on it, they got it, they didn't want to do it, and then they sold it to someone else. And that kind of died, and it's that'll be up this summer. And I think it's just such a weird thing. I think that one's one will just expire. I'll send them a letter saying that we're bringing it forward. If they don't come forward, I think we should just expire it because otherwise it will just kind of hang out there. So, but that's that for updates.
All right.
We're building the apartments over here on Main Street.
Yeah, 7791 is moving along. Yep, and there is a new owner of the property. That's the Flatiron Building.
Yeah.
Oh, there is.
Does anybody, but I heard
What's
he
going
was,
on?
yeah, said there was somebody who wasn't gonna do anything.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's an owner that owns other properties in the city that are sitting stagnant and problems. So like the Laurelville School, they own that one. You know, so if you think about, it's another person that's just almost like property hoarding, buying property.
Why did they buy it and have do nothing with it?
I don't know. It's
We should
disappointing. We were
tax
so
them.
excited that the Flatiron, like,
I
they saw
know.
this
Yeah,
already.
it was
Like,
exciting to see it sold.
so Kevin, I think, is working with them and trying to get some tenants and trying to get it moving along. I don't know, but they want to do some work inside the building. And
Could
the
be a
building
good
official
spot.
told them they needed an architect. So it was, they want to do their own work, one of these situations. You're like,
Oh,
no,
They don't need an architect?
they do need an
No,
architect.
I thought you said they.
No, they want to do their own work and start in the building official stopped them and said, you need an
Oh,
architect.
Okay,
But they do have someone that they want to reuse the Dunkin' Donuts for.
Mm.
so they're
I
not gonna use it for
thought they were
parking.
gonna knock that down.
Yeah.
They have
There's
someone
the
interested.
Talk of
Oh.
a restaurant. going
Talk
on.
of a restaurant.
A popular restaurant?
No, talk
Talk
of a
of
restaurant.
having a restaurant. It's already a local restaurant to be
Yeah.
moved into there.
But that, it's not very big.
No,
Is there?
it'd be mainly probably lunch takeout type of thing.
So,
Do I know who?
yeah, stepping out of Liberty.
Other than that, we
They don't have any
have
permits yet.
2 car washes coming.
Oh,
West
that's
Main
great.
Street.
The one at the corner,
I'm so just
Yeah,
distraught
And
about
the-
that.
so that became a big issue.
I'd rather
Kathy,
see
you'd be totally proud of me.
Cumberland Farms.
Well, you'd be proud of me on this
That
one
would've been a
because,
nice project.
I know, right?
well, you'd be proud of me on this one because the same owner who was the one that had the Cumberland Farms deal and it fell through, still owned that lot on the corner. So he's the one that came forward to do the car wash. And we had spent quite a bit of time talking about architecture with him and saying, you know what, how's this car wash gonna look? How is, really looking at how it's gonna sit on the lot, but it's a zoning permit because it was less than 5,000
Right,
square
right.
feet, blah, blah, blah. So Rich approved a site plan with the elevation views and floor plans for it that, is attractive as you're going to have a car wash, but it wasn't bad. And then all of a sudden, I'm driving down there a few weeks ago and I'm like, something's wrong. It was almost a rehash of the bubbles to butterfly thing going.
Wow.
I was like, wait a minute, this isn't what
Not
was
what we
approved.
approved.
This is not what we approved. So, different though, with bubbles, we had a little bit more teeth because it came to the commission. This was a zoning permit.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I had the building officials take the plans out and they were like, yeah, the windows were supposed to be nice and big, kind of like glass, like kind of modern looking. No, it was a concrete structure with like little tiny windows. And, I just said that it was unacceptable. I just said,
So are
no.
they, now,
So,
are they taking it, putting the windows in?
so what they're doing is making the windows a little bigger, I think, or at
Compromising.
least so we compromise because we don't really have any teeth on this,
Yeah.
but, I
The
comprehend
windows
them
were
compromise.
supposed to be almost floor to ceiling,
yeah,
and what's there now looks like a house window. It's kind of
Yeah.
bizarre.
Oh,
And
So-
the compromise is
it's got trim.
2/3 of floor to ceiling.
Yeah, it's like it's better, but then they sent the first one was great, the second, then they sent the drawings in to match what they were building, and I said, unacceptable, we're not accepting them, stop work, we did, stop work order. So then they gave us a third revision, which was, okay, more stonework on the bottom, similar to what kind of we were looking for like Cumberland Farm,
Yeah.
more like those kind of things. So then we said, it was better. We were at the end, I was like, much better than version 2. Said, okay, then that night they sent me, we have a fourth version that we will do either 3 or 4, but we're kind of leaning towards 4. It was this awful, it was an Aspen Dental, like in the desert in Arizona with the stucco. And it was Aspen Dental, he saw it, and it was just this California, but not even California, just desert, cheapy looking, horrible. I said, absolutely not. So I said, that is not appropriate there. This is a historic, gateway to a historic city. Do number 3. So I'm not a crazy fan of it, but it's much better
Better
than,
than what it
oh
was.
my God.
And
So,
sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get them to do what you want.
well, my whole argument was we would have maybe do more landscaping and do other things had we known you were gonna provide such an unattractive building. We would have said no. And now that, we didn't, we can't really push on that. So it's like, so they understand that we're letting them go again, so. And then the other one, we haven't seen the drawings yet for the other car wash.
Where is that gonna be?
Where the fire
the
was
building
next to
burned.
Bank of America.
Where the physical therapy place used to be in there.
Oh, geez.
So that,
What the heck is going on with these?
well, they're like a
We
huge
got-
popular thing right now, and they've done their market
Well,
studies and there's a
the
need.
What
second
about
one
the old car wash?
Yeah,
What's
what's
gonna
going on?
be-
So that
is for
is,
sale.
it's for sale, but it's not gonna be a car wash because of multiple reasons,
The
because
guy that is building the new car wash.
bought
owns
that
that.
one too.
Right.
But he
So-
didn't want to do that as a car wash. The car wash needs to be on the flat side. He was thinking about turning that into 2 different,
A
like-
grinder shop and a coffee shop,
yeah.
Car wash?
Yes, the one on the
the
top of the
existing
hill.
one.
And take a shower.
Existing. But now he's listing it for sale, so I don't think he's
Oh
doing
my
that. But
God.
someone wanted to do a gas station. It was weird. They want, because they're taking out that gas station down there for the roundabout, the one that's,
The shell.
Shell, yep. So they were like, well, we want to put tanks there and put the convenience store up on the hill. I'm like, that's never gonna work. And plus they don't own the land in between. There's like a split of land the city owns.
So if you picture it, it's where the current tanks are at the Sunoco station. And the store would be up where the abandoned car.
Car
wash is.
washes, like who would be doing that? It wouldn't even make sense. And so,
For the tanks down there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd
they
have
did,
to pull
they
it.
happen
You would
to
never
not
go to the
know that that car wash is being taken out with the roundabout. I mean, not car wash, the Sunoco. So they were
the
like,
guy
oh.
that's building the other new car wash is the same company that's building that huge gas station right where 95 and 395 and Route 1 are in Waterford, right there, where that restaurant was for years and was empty. It's that same. So I think that they're finishing that and they're building a car wash in Niantic as well.
The car, what they're
It's
doing,
the
their
same.
market study, they say that car washes are like one of the things that people want. They don't want to be washing their cars at home and they want to go out and have this done. It's another one of those things.
And the second one
I like
is,
watching
will
cars.
be,
Dean
will
watches
be
his
a
cars every
person,
week.
man, it'll be somebody there.
Yeah, the difference between the car washes too, Kathy, they're two
He's got
different
the
kinds.
cleanest cars in Norwich.
So the car washes are two different types. The one that's at the intersection will be the typical drive in, pick your card in and go, and go through. The other one at the other location that we just talked about, that will have employees that have like the will do
Like
the
the drive,
yes
stuff
and all
like
that.
that.
They're more about
Do they
standard
tweak
hours and
And it
do all
won't, yeah,
that.
it's not 24 hours.
Nope, none of that. So,
Oh,
for-
I know.
And the cannabis place next to that is almost open.
I
where is
guess
that?
so.
There's where the West Side Medical Clinic was.
Yeah.
That's that's gonna be a cannabis. And there was another one that was going into that shopping center further down the road, right? Next to,
I don't know what the status of anything.
okay,
else
there was
is.
another
That's-
one going down.
yeah.
They're keeping them to 1,500 feet apart and. I know. But they bring, those ones will at least give some money back to the community. The cannabis,
It's okay.
whatever.
Anything else?
That's it.
I think that's it.
I'll
All
entertain
set.
to adjourn.
I'll make
I
that.
move to adjourn.
Got a
Okay.
motion and a second, all in
Who made
favor?
that motion? Was it Kathy or Michael?
Kathy,
Michael
second by
seconded.
Michael,
Okay, thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thanks, Ella.
Everybody
Thanks,
for coming tonight. Appreciate everybody's attendance. How you feeling, Mike?